I'm Susan Heller, the Kosher Keto Maven, and today we're going to make chicken bone broth. The ingredients are chicken necks, salt, which is OU, and apple cider vinegar, which is KSA. You might ask, why am I making bone broth and why not regular broth? Well, the bone broth is more nutritious and it's worth the extra effort. The difference between bone broth and regular broth is the length of the cooking time and the addition of something acidic. Broth can cook for any amount of time as long as the meat is done. I've made chicken breasts that I've just boiled for 45 minutes and the water is like a broth, and then I use the chicken for chicken salad. Bone broth cooks for at least 10 to 12 hours and some people cook it for 24. I prefer the 10 to 12 hours because I think that after 12 hours it doesn't taste as good. Also, you need some acidic substance in there. I usually use apple cider vinegar, but you can use regular vinegar or even lemon juice. All right, let's get cooking. The first thing I'm going to do is get my pot ready. I like to use this insert because it also will help strain the broth. I'll put that in, and then I'll dump in my chicken necks. My rule of thumb is to use 2 to 4 pounds of chicken, or I should say, my rule of thumb is to use 2 to 4 pounds of meat. I also need a gallon of water. I do want to keep my meat covered, so if it evaporates out during part of the cooking process, I'll just add more. Then here's my apple cider vinegar. It's 2 tablespoons. And also 1 teaspoon of salt. And that's all there is to it. I'm going to put this on my stove and bring it to a boil, and then turn it down to a simmer and put a lid on it and simmer it for about 10 to 12 hours. And that's it. I'll see you when it's ready. Our bone broth is done, and I've let it cool for about an hour. It's still kind of hot, but I let it cool. In this insert pan, I'm just going to lift up and drain all the broth into it, into the bottom part. And then put it in a bowl in my sink. And let's see, I'm gonna move this back a little bit. And I have this great funnel with a little sieve that goes with it. And then I just fill my bottles. And this little sieve catches whatever parts went through the holes in this part of the pot. And I want to leave a little bit at the top. I'm going to take the lid and screw it on just lightly because I'm going to put these in the refrigerator overnight and then put them in the freezer tomorrow. These are quart jars. Can you see this? This is what it's catching, little pieces of chicken. And then every once in a while, I just dump it in the sink. turn it upside down and rinse it with water. If I don't pour this in slowly, this little funnel with the sieve in it sometimes gets dislodged. If that small mesh piece in here does get dislodged, you could just pour the broth back in here and then restrain it. And when you get near the bottom, just pour in the rest. So we have 4, actually I'm going to put more in this one. We have a little more than 4.5 quarts. I'm going to put this one on tight so you can see it. It's clear. It's a nice clear broth. Alright, so I'm going to put these in the refrigerator. And I have one that I have in the refrigerator now. I'm going to bring it out and show you what it looks like. So I have some broth that I did last June. And look at that, it's like gelatin, a lot of it. There's some liquid. This is the reason why I make bone broth. I want that nice gelatinous healing substance in my body. I hope you make this recipe. If you do, let me know. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Pâté Avon. When you heat this up, this gelatinous part turns back to liquid. So you can just use it as a regular broth, add some vegetables if you're not carnivore, or serve it with a broth, or you could put carnivore noodles in it. And it's delicious and healthy. So enjoy Pâté Avon. These bones in here, these chicken necks, I just save them. And I'll use them to make soup again. So I'll label this and put it, this is a freezer bag. I'll label this and put it in my freezer. I'll add bones to it as I eat some thighs or chicken legs, and I'll make broth again in a couple of weeks. Pâté Avon.